Aloha, Flow Riders, and welcome to The Flow. I am your host, Doc Rock, along with my awesome co-host.
It's Katie.
I knew that was coming.
I've been solo hosting for the last little bit. I've been missing my It's Katie and your intro. And you, welcome back.
Thank you. Man, fun. We had some cool stuff going on at our podcast summit, which was right incredible. Got to cruise with a lot of the fam that came to help us out. I can't thank them enough for helping us out during that. And yeah, it was just great. And I want you guys to get comfortable. I am back this week and next week. And then after that, I'm going to Nihongo Kotoga Niki Maskido. Like I'm going to Japan. It makes me excited. Anyway, let's get started. We are talking about building a podcast and going through your podcast checklist. And we don't mean necessarily this, like we did today, where you do a checklist before you start your show. We're talking about how to build that podcast. Like some of these things you've done, some of them you haven't. So you can, even if your show is already alive, you should go back and check to make sure you covered most of this.
Even more fun than that. So we're actually in the process, and some of you know this and have signed up for reminders, but we're in the process of building out a getting started with your podcast, getting started into video podcasting course, which has tons of helpful content and kind of will be the companion to this show. And so we were going through all of the content and we're like, we never updated our original checklist that we launched this show with and our original workflow document that we launched the show with. And so I thought, instead of just updating it and go, and spending the time just us, we would publicly and in front of all of you go through it, because a lot has changed in the last 2 years since we did this show, right? So there's a lot of process that's changed and a lot of stuff we've learned along the way. So we thought, this is a great time for us to update our checklist and take feedback from all of you. And it's a great time, if you have a checklist, to go through it and say, what are those things that maybe you haven't thought about adding, or those things that have been on kind of the back burner for a while, or maybe stuff you don't even know about. So yeah, as Doc said, make sure that if you are hanging out with us in the live studio audience, drop your Q's and colons in so that we catch any of your questions as well as we go through this. But thank you for being our test subjects as we live update our checklist and our workflow document.
Let's go in. I'm excited about this. This ought to be fun.
All right, Luis, drop in our PDF. Back to page 1.
Okay. So, of course, you know that you can get these assets so you can follow along, but let's just dive in. So one of the first things,
because we're updating them. So these are the
we
have our new fancy. I'm gonna do the wrong way probably. Our new fancy logo up here at the top for our course.
So you're gonna have to hold your horses and then get ready, to see. But anyway, you can, and if you're on mobile, you can take your fingers and zoom in. All right. So first thing you gotta do is create a niche, and this is hard for some people because they want to talk about 50, 1,100 things. In that case, you're doing a lifestyle show or you're doing a talk show, and that's a okay niche, but it's really hard to grow in that niche. And I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not impossible to win the lottery. People win the lottery every 2 or 3 years. But so if you want to do that, knock yourself out. You already know that you need to pick a niche because you've heard from 1,000 people that you need to pick a niche. You just keep fighting it because somehow you think you're going to be different. So if that's you, cool, go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, I will say so like the create a niche, pick a genre, those are all going to stay the same. Here's where some of these updates are going to come in, right? So picking like your podcast name, your description, and your cover art. So a couple of updates I've learned actually pretty recently. I'm embarrassed to say, actually.
Podcast movement, right?
Pretty recently. So a couple things. One, obviously, AI has really come a long way since we initially wrote this. So we will definitely be adding in a couple of fun like AI hacks and how to use some of the different AI tools to be able to help you in this process. But the second thing that I think we'll have to add in, Doc, is that I spoke 2 episodes ago with Gordon about the legal side of podcasting. And so what we should be adding into this new podcast checklist is also thinking through, and I know it may sound somewhat like forward thinking, but really thinking through like whether or not you want to trademark your name. If your name already exists out there, some of the legal ramifications of your podcast name, which many of us don't think about in this process because we're just like, the flow, it's a fun name. Or, for me, it's like the VHS Club podcast, right? Like these are fun names. We did, quick searches and we were like, yeah, good to go. But you might want to take a look at some of the resources from the episode that I did with Gordon to think through, some of the legal sides of naming, of whether or not you want a trademark, of maybe setting up your podcast as an LLC or as a business. So some of these steps I think will be good to add in here.
It's funny. My lawyer buddy in the chat down here is having the time of her life right
Yolanda,
now. So, way to go, Yolanda. Okay, so and man, Paul just let me know something that's kind of mind blowing. In 2 days will be
away.
a year of the flow. So happy birthday, us.
Happy birthday, us. So it's perfect timing for us to be redoing this. I think this is great.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of going in and checking your status. I know one thing that worked out really, really well for Creators Unstuck is when I did the precursory search for branding as far as getting a website, and if the website is available and the Instagram is available and the YouTube was available and the Twitter was available, it was a good chance that I'm square. Yeah. So yeah, it would be worth going out and doing a PTO. And that's just a patent and trademark level search to see if it's anything. A precursory search is easy to do, but then if you want to have someone to do a deep dive, it's normally, when I did it last time, it cost me about $1,500, but it was worth having a lawyer do it.
Yeah. And we're thinking about your goals, like obviously what, which we could add in a little bit here, maybe is the absolute first one. It's like, why are you doing this? And if it's like a for fun thing or it's starting as a side hustle, then okay, maybe you set yourself a reminder and you say, okay, after a year, I'm going to check and see if this for fun thing has evolved into something where I want to be able to make it more into a business or turn it from a side hustle into a full-time gig. And if that's the case, then revisit some of these legal things. But I think Doc's right, thinking through and that's on the list, but setting up your social profiles and all of that stuff, that's the checking for your name to see if that name has already been taken on Instagram and X and a .com to see if the domain is already taken. Like all of that's a great first step because you're going to want those at some point. So even if you're not setting these up right now and you're deferring some of these steps, it's good to use that as kind of your indicator on whether or not the name makes sense and isn't being used for other things, because you will want those at some point, even if you're not doing it right.
And you just made me think of something. When it comes to naming and branding and things of that nature, one of the things that a lot of people are still scared to do, which is funny because the examples are everywhere, especially in tech. Don't be afraid to make up a word. Okay? Like really, because if you go look for, I don't know, the greatest search engine in the world, I guarantee you the dictionary was never going to show you the word Google, which is the math equation, right? Even some of I'm looking at the list of hosts that we put in, right? Deezer, that was straight up in the dictionary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Castbox, yep, that was in the dictionary. Ozbot, Slack. I could go down the list of all of the myriad things where it might be worth just generating a name for. You don't have to pick the most blatant one that's going to cause you the competition. Now, that's going to add to your brand story, and it's going to make it, in a way, a little bit tougher to get noticed at first, but once you do, everybody knows it because of the word is weird and different and so forth, so on, et cetera, right? Yeah. I never grew up knowing what a quaffle was, or what was the other one, a cronut, and then now, it's a literal trademark thing for. It actually tastes good. It's just weird. Whoever came up with that idea is a weirdo, but it tastes phenomenal, by the way. So there's that. Yeah, don't shy away from that. That one might help you. So
we should
look
talk
for the Embiggen podcast coming, which is not a made-up word, but nobody uses it.
I love it. I love that you use it. Me. The Embiggen podcast would be kind of awesome, actually. Don't take that one. With trademark to come, but Doc will be working on that one. We should update we did another episode on this as well, and we've learned a lot. But the coming soon web landing email page, right? So thinking about a website. So this show, when we first did this episode, we didn't have a website. We were like, no, well, like we're going to drive everyone back to Ecamm. Like, the goal of the show is to teach people that you can use tools like Ecamm to create a video podcast, to talk about video podcasting in general. But then we met Brendan and we met Podpage, and we learned a ton about the value of having like a defined landing space, right? So initially we had our Captivate website, and lots of tools like Captivate will create one for you. And that was a good starting point. But then a tool like Podpage helped us take all of that content and kind of amplify it. Now we can do things like get voicemails. There's a guest booking system through that. So again, like maybe this is a good starting point for you, but maybe this is something that you can grow on over time. We certainly did here. And I think I think there's still potential for us to do even more with our website and figure out ways to get people back to it more often. We haven't yet kind of done a lot of that stuff. So I'm glad that this is on the list.
It's really funny you say that. So Lou and I are in the process of deciding what to do with the website, because I did buy the domain. Yep. And so part of me was thinking, I'm just going to do it on the always mentioned on YouTube, Squarespace. I was like, wait, pump your brakes. We just got Notion sites. And we have been building our show out loud on Notion and showing people how to use Notion to do things like this checklist and brainstorming in the whole 9 yards. But then I also just went, and so I sent a message to Brendan yesterday. He was like, hey, maybe I should put it on Podpage and use that as one of our, we'll get to the sponsor thing later, but as one of our sort of pseudo-sponsor type situations. And brilliantly enough, I think Podpage is one of the best things in the game when it comes to podcasters, because it is a website specifically for podcasting. Like everything about it speaks podcast, and that will sort of keep you from turning it into a messy website.
Yeah, and it makes it.
That's another good thing about it.
Exactly, and there's features within that tool, like Podpage in general, that you're not going to think of. Believe me, because we like these days live and breathe podcasting, and there were things that were listed as features, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally want that. I never would have thought of putting that on a website. So yeah, having it being specifically geared towards
the key right there.
Voicemail, right, was another fun one where like I initially thought I would have had to have gotten a separate tool, and I didn't actually need a separate tool, because again, that Podpage is specifically built for podcasting websites and to benefit podcasters. So I think that goes a long way. But Notion is a great example too. So if you're sitting here and you're like, okay, I need to start, down and dirty. I don't have a huge budget. I want to see how this goes as far as podcasting goes. Notion is great for that. It's, it has a free level that's really robust. You can build up from there, and you can use Notion a lot. Like you don't have to scrap it if and when you get to a point where you want to add in something like Podpage. We still use Notion for a lot of things we're building this entire course on Notion. So the Notion will literally house all of our like content for the course, linked out to all of our resources, and then we'll link that right through into our website. So there's, a lot of potential there. So it's not one of those things where if you start with one particular thing, you have to abandon it and restart somewhere else. This is a process where you can just make changes and switch, and it can build on each other.
Love that. All right, cool. So here's
skip gear. I feel like unless you have like updates
I just said something. I just want to say about the gear thing. Yeah. I want you to stop checking for like, what is that you're using? What is that you're using? Yeah. Use what you have right now.
So true.
And I kind of got a little secret to tell you, but I'll tell you later. And just know that if I was going to start all over right now, like legit, where I would start is just getting probably the MV7 Plus, which is available now, which means that because the new one came out, MV7 price is still out there and available to get, and often has great deals. There's also a lot of people getting rid of MV7s to upgrade to the next thing. So now there's a longevity of MV7s. It's been about 5 years. So you can actually find fantastic deals on people, getting rid of an MV7. I think I would start with something like that, a good set of headphones. And we did so many podcast episodes with phones in the 3-day period. And the amount of people who were jaw dropped that you could just use a phone because they were legit just coming from hearing that they had to go out and buy a bunch of cameras and stuff like that.
Don't.
And the phone stands we got were $10 a piece. Like they were $10 a piece for this phone stand. And we put people in good lighting with phones and they were floored. Not a single person said, oh, that's not good enough. I want to like use this kind of camera because I want it to be better. Like everybody who had never tested it before went, wait, that's my phone? Mm-hmm. And some of these people had old phones. But it's still, phones are incredible. Like, that's it. That's all I want to say about gear.
Yeah,
is you probably already have what you need.
Well, I just wanted to add to that because a lot of times people are only looking at themselves through the front-facing camera. And one of the things that I told everyone was that the rear-facing camera is the best camera on your phone. So using that
100.
camera and seeing the results, everyone there was actually blown away. It was a lot of fun.
And to that point too, Luis, what a lot of people forget, if you are rocking an Apple Watch, you can see if you turn it around, you can look at yourself in the watch to make sure it's good, and then you can go. And another thing, you're at home, bro. Put a mirror behind the phone. Like just get a little teeny mirror.
Smart.
You can go to Home Depot and buy one square of 12 by 12 for 50 cents and stick it right behind it so you can see.
Smart.
All right, that's kind of cool. Right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. The old 80s, we had the mirrors in our room. You can buy those 12 by 12s because somebody broke a box. You can go to Home Depot every day of the week and find the busted up box, and they will sell you each one of them little squares for like $1.50, whatever, because they're cheap. And you can use that alone to help you see what you're doing. And then once you have it set up, you're gravy. And Ecamm will let you see on your computer. So, yeah, it's too easy to use a phone nowadays. And yes, Luis, use the back camera.
Yeah, and like I said,
use the back camera.
As a camera junkie, I love cameras, and I'll be the first one to tell you your camera on your phone is definitely good enough. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it's about to get better because it's going to get updated in September for both Android and iPhone.
Exactly. And the really cool thing about it is that you all have one. You all have a phone that has a camera. So like right now today, it's not like you have to wait. There's no like, I need to wait until I figure out what camera to get, or I have to wait till my camera I ordered comes in, or wait till I have enough money to blah, blah, blah. You literally can start right now. You can start right now and you can get comfortable with recording with your phone. You can get comfortable with recording with your phone just physically on your phone, or you can connect your phone to software like Ecamm. It'll show up in the software. Good to go. So there's
perfect.
There's no excuses there. And I completely agree with you. It's, Doc, you should show them. So here on video. Right. So the difference between Doc is on. So you have to come over if you're listening to the video so that you can see the video difference. But
I am currently using my Osbot Tiny 2 Lite, Lite Lite, not to be confused with MC. And most of you guys had no idea that I switched from this setup, which is close to $2,000 with the Sony and the lens that's on there, because I'm using the Tamron. It's a little bit, fancier lens. This little thing right here in the Sony is the Tiny 2 Lite, and I have it gaffer taped to the Elgato.
It's awesome.
I have it gaffer taped to the prompter.
That's awesome.
Because Luis would love this setup right here. Luis, I'm going to text you a picture in a little bit so you can laugh at how hilarious this is. But it was when I put it there, it kept wanting to tilt up. And I was like, Tiny, set your ass down. So I taped it down with a piece of tape. It's super silly. But yeah, like this is gorgeous enough for what most people need. And if you never saw the two side by side, no one's going to think any different of it. And yeah, it is phenomenal. I'm talking $179.
Like, there are less and less excuses. So if you're like, no, I don't agree with you, Katie and Doc, no to phone, then okay, fine. Then
cool.
HubSpot Tiny 2 Lite, super affordable, no excuses. So
here,
that's
Luis this picture.
That's our word on equipment. All right, so we're moving into hosting platforms. I can now say when we first initially had started this podcast, I was if you remember, I was brand new to podcasting. We did this so that I could be I know nothing against Doc's I know everything, and we could work together all the way through. And so I didn't even know, I don't even think I knew what a podcast host was. I had no concept of any of it. And we went with Captivate for a couple of different reasons. And we since have continued to use Captivate. But I can say now with authority that I have used Spotify for my personal podcast, just so that I would have experience in both. So I could say this. Captivate is 1,000 times better than Spotify. So if you are going to spend money on something, take the money you were going to spend on a camera, use your phone, and spend money on a really good podcast host, because the difference really is night and day in what you can do and the possibilities and the ability to reach and grow your audience. So Spotify does the job. I can drag and drop a file in. It sends it out to all the different podcast players. It absolutely does that. It does, it does both video and audio. Yep, does that. But what it doesn't do is literally everything else. There's no fields for anything else. If you want to know any information, none of it's there. It is so incredibly simplistic that it is not giving you any ability to grow. And that's what you get for free. That's what you're going to get for free. And that's fine for a lot of people as you're getting started. But I would really challenge you that this is the way your podcast is getting out to your audience, hopefully also alongside YouTube, because I think that's a huge play that you don't want to be sleeping on. But it's worthwhile to really think through your hosting platform. And hey, if it's not Captivate for you, totally fine. But really think through that decision. There's a lot of different awesome tools out there that will do this, but find one that's going to actually help you grow and not just plug in fields and do its thing. Sometimes automating and making it really easy is not always the best solution. And I would say in the case of Spotify that this is the case. So it used to be called Anchor, by the way.
Captivate for me is the same thing as Ozbot for me, is the same thing as Ecamm was for me. There's a bunch of other tools out there, but the people behind the product kind of sold me on them specifically.
True.
Hey, I love my Insta360 gear and I love the camera and the whole 9 yards, but the guys at Ozbot bend over backwards to make sure that we are getting what we want. They're always in contact. They're just a different breed, right? Again, there's software that are out there that's very much like Ecamm, but there's nobody like Ecamm fam. It just is what it is. And so a lot of times, again, I tell people all the time, not everybody's just coming to hear your show because of what you know. Some people are coming to hear your show because of you. They just fall in love with you. So it's something about the people behind the company, and I can stand for them. They're good folks. It's been over a year we're working with them, and I just love them. I think they're cool. Yep. So there's that. There's that side of it. And same with Ecamm. Look how awesome people we got in Paul.
I can't hit him through the screen, Paul. I'm trying. Wait, this way. I'm trying.
Actually, the worst thing about Paul is he brought us Val. So there's that. Anyways, so yes, I think the good thing about picking any platform is, one that you're going to have a good experience with, and sometimes it's good to test them. Somebody told me this before, and I've never done it because I normally just make up my mind. But somebody said before you pick a big platform or something where it might be harder to change or a little expensive or just time consuming, send them a support situation before you ever get in, and then see how it works for you. And I was like, that's brilliant. I just normally just pick, but that's actually a brilliant idea.
Yes, almost all of them have some level, either like a free level or a free trial. So jump in and then break something. Purposely break something because you'll learn in the process of breaking, and then also you'll see how their customer support responds. That's a great suggestion.
So all right, this is cool because you said the podcast directories, right? That's on after your platform, and you just mentioned this about Spotify. Why they don't normally have a way for you to promote to all the other directories, because they don't want you to. It's not in their best interest, right? So Captivate for one does. I know there's others out there that do the same thing though, but it allows you to submit to all the podcast directories. So on the submitting it to directories, here's what a lot of people skip. You want to make that trailer episode. That trailer episode could be really, really short. It could be like, hi, I'm Kathy Walker, and I'm going to be doing a podcast about comedy. And I just want to let you guys know what you can expect from the show. And you bingo, bango, pickle, mango, and then you end. And you send that to all the hosting platforms first so that they have a chance to be flushed through the system.
Yep. And this, in updating this checklist, like, it's super important to point out here that this is a moving target with some of these. Google Podcasts no longer exists because YouTube is claiming this space. So we should definitely add in as we're updating, and it's a different process to get out to YouTube than it is to get to these podcast directories. So we'll be updating with that information in here. But there are a couple here I see that are, either not a thing or quickly becoming not a thing in this list. So, yeah,
man, it's so crazy how much YouTube has moved the needle this last year, and they're not even done. They haven't even turned on the jets yet. Yeah. They're coming out of the blocks swinging, but when they turn on the jets, as we used to say in track, by the time they hit turn 3, oh, you are over, bro. You are over. Like, they're so dominant right now. It's kind of crazy. And it was funny. So many people was like, Google Podcast is dead, and people were talking about it like Google didn't have a plan. Like,
I know. It's like, no, Google retired this because they're all in on YouTube. They're not, it's not, And I still hear people who I love dearly who still think audio only, like there'll be no video podcast. Video podcast is a fad or a trend or whatever. And I'm like, when the largest player in the game doubles down, you want to take that bet? Come on, son. Like, come on. What are you thinking? So yeah, go video first. Whether you like it or not, you should definitely be doing a video podcast because of discovery. Yeah. So there's that. All right. Page 2.
What's next?
Thank you. All right. So show notes. Again, AI will be your help in a lot of this. AI will be your help in a lot of this. I'm going to add in here too, and we are testing this right now. Oh, shoot, I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the tool, but there is a newer AI tool that will actually take your podcast and write not only the show notes, but also like a complete newsletter. So we sent one out to everyone today based on last week's episode, and it does a really great... Not Wordle. That's the game.
Not Wordle. That's a game. Dumb.
We'll add it in.
Caleb told me what it is Wordly or Wordify or something of that nature. Yeah. So but yes, oh my God,
there are some AI tools that will do this for you. So we used to have this checklist that said that you want a transcript and your link sources and all these different things to keep an eye on. I would replace this almost with, you want to have some kind of tool that will allow you to build a template so that you don't even have to think about this step. You create the content, focus on the content. The tool will use your template, populate the information, and then ideally add it into your show notes, your YouTube description, and on your website so that everyone can find all that information, because you're inevitably going to say things like, oh, I can't remember the name of that tool that Caleb was telling us about, but don't worry, we'll drop that in the show notes and in the description once this episode is done, right?
There you go.
Wordsmith. There we go.
Wordsmith. Yes. Yeah. When you look at it, you'll see Wordsmith in it. But yeah, transcripts are so easy now and show notes are so easy. And I have recently experienced messing around with these things that Claude right now is slightly better than Chad at doing it, but they'll flip flop back and forth forever. And who's really good at it, for those of you who don't want to really buy anything per se? Google Gemini. And why is it good at it? Well, because it has a podcasting host, so it knows what show notes are supposed to look like. So Gemini is actually relatively amazing at this too. So there's some really, really fantastic tools that can give you these transcripts and then take those transcripts and turn them into show notes, and then spend some time to just bless them up and put your links where they need to go. And yeah, the key thing that's important about show notes, and this is where people skip. I talked about this a lot at Podcast Summit. People are doing, where's Mary Lou right now? Posting these incredible videos, but I don't like writing descriptions and just leaving that box blank. And I'm like, that box ain't for you. And that box is not for humans. That box is for the SEO robots, okay? Yep. Humans barely read the description. You know how I know? Because somebody would say, hey, where can I buy that thing you just talked about?
You're like,
in the comment. I'm like, in the video, the screen said, linked in description. And yeah, so I know people do not read them. So it really does help with your SEO. That is where you're building authority. So if you are a publisher of a video every week, let's say, you're also technically publishing an article every week, and then your authority grows. So when someone comes to look for what are the top 10 things on the list of musical Tourette's this week, you'll get K-Walk's Spotify list because she keep adding to it because I keep singing different stupid stuff.
Yeah. And again, so I mean, I can think off the top of my head. So like, for example, right now at Ecamm, so we're, if you're listening or watching this later, it's July 2024. We've been doing this challenge with our friends at Capshow. And that tool, so Doc did this as a test the other day and it worked really well, right? So this is different than the format for this show, but stay with me. Doc recorded a video. He actually live streamed it, but he didn't put anything in the description. It's freaked Paul right out. Didn't put anything in the description or the title. Went through the entire video.
Because the YouTube coach is going to skip the description, of course. Yeah.
So like went through the entire thing and, and did all of that. And then took that video into Capshow, which is an AI tool. And Capshow said, hey, based on what you said in this video, this is the best title and this is the best description, right? So if you are someone who is not live streaming your recording process, or honestly, like even if you are, put whatever fluff in for the recording, like the live streaming part, and then take the video, send it through a tool like Capshow, and you'll get the best possible, show notes and descriptions and all the SEO rich stuff based on the content that you said. So you know that it'll be accurate to what you're actually talking about in the episode. So there's a lot of ways that you can go about this, but don't do what we did in this checklist and like work through it every single time and be constantly reinventing the wheel. This is something that AI can do. This is something that a template will really help with. This is why having a good podcast host matters, because Spotify is not giving you any templates or anything. You have to paste it in, right? Whereas Captivate has a template, so it just automatically updates according to your template each time. So
you just made me think of something really good, Katie. Now the way AI works, right? So I know Val's in the chat, and so Val has some thespian skills, right? A lot of times I want to go do a read and I want to talk about something brand new that I just got, right? So maybe I'm going to talk about this big, gigantic Yolanzi suction cup for making videos on the rental car at Creator Camp. Don't steal my idea. So the first time you read it, you're going to go through, you're going to hit your points, you're going to cover everything and you feel good, but you're like, that was dope. I can clean that up. Take that one that you were about to toss and send it to the AI and let it start working.
Yep.
Now, gather your thoughts, breathe it out, and do your second take and just fly through it. And then that's what you're going to post, but you already have all of the good. The other thing that's cool about running it through the AI first is it might tell you something or remind you something that it thinks you said that you didn't actually say yet, that you should have said, but it's still relevant. Then you could add that in. And yeah, it's really, really helpful. And of course, most of us would tell you do your thumbnail and your thumbnail and title before you do the video. It is proven that is the best way to create videos. That's how we do this. The thumbnail and the title is generated like over the week. And then Katie says on Tuesday, this is what we're talking about. And so we already come basically ready to go. Yep. So if you're in that process too, guess what? These tools can help you with that stuff too. They can help you come up with really good title and thumbnails, show you a list of different titles. You can say, here's my thumbnail idea. Here's my title idea. What should I change? It knows what to do. Like it will tell you. Like, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So let's go.
And honestly, like same with the next section too. And Doc, I think this can just stay. This is like a great thing that Doc worked on. But creating a list of topics, again, use AI tools to help you think through and brainstorm. We've done a lot of episodes on like how to come up with episode ideas, how to come up with topics, how to come up. So we go back and listen to those or watch those episodes. But you know, there are tools out there that will help you store these. And again, and Paul put this in the comments for our live studio audience, but don't find the tool that works best for you. Honestly, like I live and breathe most days in Apple Notes. It's super easy. It's on my phone. It doesn't have a lot of features to distract me. I can transfer back and forth between my phone, my iPad, my computer, everything. It's all in my ecosystem. So when I'm just like need ideas, jot it down. That's where I'm going to go. These days, you can also just record a video and save that and put that through an AI tool if you need like topic ideas or creating a list of topics. But these ones that Doc put, I think are all great. I could speak highly for all of it. Yeah, he's even got record small videos for yourself, right? So this section's
that's my
great.
favorite one.
Updated
Record small videos for yourself.
Yeah.
And Apple Notes dictation is pretty phenomenal. So even if you I can't type in my little phone, cool, just talk to it. Like I was showing somebody on the screen the other day, you can completely do this in Apple Notes dictation. And here's a clutch one. Let's say you go to a Zoom meeting, right? So Tanya's hosting a Zoom meeting, and then she says, all right, we're going to talk about this today. You really like the subject matter. You save the Zoom chat, okay?
Yeah.
Save the Zoom chat as a text.
Yep.
Take the Zoom chat, throw it to Chad, and be like, I want to make some videos based around the common thread of the questions from this chat.
Yep.
Let me back that up, flip this thing down, flip it and reverse it. Thank you, Honor and Fulgence. I want to take this chat and find me the thread of the most common questions that came from this chat. The gold that is in that for content creation. Why do you know it's gold? Because you just watch 100 people in Tanya's chat have the same question. That is a video that needs to get made.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo.
Yep. Easy peasy. All right, these next few, in the interest of time, I'm scrolling quickly through them. So obviously you need to record your episode. That's all the same. You need to record your intro, outro. That's the same. We talked about the hosting platforms. We talked about, I guess getting into thinking through and creating an email list. Doc's been doing some awesome training with our friend Liz. What do you have to say about email lists, Doc?
Oh my God. I sort of decided to finally stop goofing off and redo my email list. So I started from scratch. I was not afraid to knock it down. I didn't do it on purpose, by the way. The knockdown was an accident. But I started from scratch and I went from 0 to almost 700. So I'm averaging 100 a month because it's July. Hello. And it is good. Just go to Liz's course. She has a live cohort coming up soon. I only know this because she just sent me the email today. So you will hear about it coming from me because I will gush over it. And I'm telling you guys, you better get in before more people figure out she's Liz from Survivor, because then the course is going to be crowded. You know, the course is going to be crowded. You're going to be like,
just look up that. Liz Survivor email and see and see what comes up. You will find her at
the best thing that happened this year was in the episode when they asked what she did, and then she explained it on Survivor, and they all glassed, and they even threw shade. Like, they didn't really know. And all of us that know Liz was like, oh, you dummy. You have no idea. She's kicking butt. And
she
then,
is a rock star,
and then I guess, she showed them, didn't she?
Yeah.
So there's that. No spoilers.
Community space. This is exactly the same that stays on the list. So for us, it's Discord. It could be, wherever else for you, but find a place where people can hang out. It might be the live chat of your live recording process. That might be the fun place that people hang out, but don't forget that having like a dedicated place where people can come when you're not recording or in a different place is, I think is a good thing to have. Launch stays the same.
Bro,
promotion. Any updates in thinking through promotion? All right, go for it.
Yes. Okay. So here's this really cool thing that I just came up with. I have this idea of a 4-post strategy.
Oh my goodness. Where did you even get that idea
from? I have this alter ego named Katie Brinkley. Oh my God. Listen, people, I can't believe that I didn't know this. I heard of it. I've heard people talk about it, never really paid attention to it because a lot of times strategies, I'm like, a little strategy is not a strategy. Katie was like, sit down. little boy, listen to this. And then she, oh my God, the 4-post strategy is life. It is life. If you want to know more about that, you need to come into the challenge. But here again is where a tool like Capshow makes this so easy. And I've had it happen. Last week's challenge, I did the the trailer episode for Creators Unstuck with Mary Lou and I. I threw it at Capshow and I said, please give me a description that I can use for this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. That's basically one of the things that it generates for you semi-automatically. Mm-hmm. And we read it out loud on the live and we were like, done. Oh, whoa, like absolutely whoa. And then yesterday we were in a session doing the Monday Motivation and we looked at a blog post and it was flawless. Like, you're not supposed to take the AI stuff and just run with it. But when I mean flawless, I mean I changed 3 words. Yeah. I legit changed 3 words because it doesn't know how to spell Ecamm.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's phenomenal. So promotion is really good now.
Yep.
And I did have one very important thing on promotion before we leave this space. Mm-hmm. I watch people mess this up every day. And I'm going to say this, and I want you to pay attention, folks. Do not be on YouTube telling people to leave YouTube to go to click your thing, right? In our space, people are like, oh, so I'm doing this course, and you need to jump from the video right now to go over it and sign up for this course. No, you can tell them about the course, and you can tell them after they've sat through a couple of the videos that you're about to show them, then go, or tell them to take out their phone and go to it on their phone. If they're watching on the computer, tell them to use their phone. If they're watching on the phone, tell them to use the computer to go to the link. But you don't want them to be on their video, and as soon as they're done that video, leave that video to go do something else, because you're taking people off the platform.
Yep.
And when you take people off the platform will punish you. Mm-hmm. And this is where I won't say bad words, all of the people who are like, the algorithm is crushing my content. That's because you're coming into the middle of Westerfield Mall talking about go to the swap meet.
It's true. It's totally true. Yep. And
that's the only thing to know about promotion.
I will say one thing. So I've started to notice that I believe I am doing wrong, and I want to change from the for this show on the YouTube side of things, right? So, and then we can actually, Luis, if you want to go into the next PDF while I'm talking, that would be great. So we can be off this. Yeah, there you go. So one thing that I do is this is our workflow we'll talk about quickly here before we wrap, but one of the workflow processes that we have is that after Luis is done editing our episode, we add that back into YouTube as part of our YouTube podcast playlist. So it becomes part of our YouTube podcast. And YouTube allows you to do different things like link to the next video, or you can add a link into it that shows up in the top up here, right? Things that you can, not on screen.
Cards
that you can add up here. So I always do that, and I add it so that it goes to the full podcast, so you can see all the episodes, which I think that's fine. But in the cards, I always have just had this habit basically of putting flow.ecamm.com, and then I put as the text for the card, listen to the flow. And I don't know why it took me so long for this to hit me, just so in case you're in this space as well. But I was like, this is really stupid. They're already literally watching the episode. And so I'm like taking them back to our website to listen to the flow. Instead, it should have like a call to action that says like something that they might want to do after the listening. So like still send them back to the website. That's fine. But it should be like, leave us a voicemail, join the newsletter. Like, this is my call to action space, and I'm not using that correctly. So it's thankfully changeable, editable, but it's in case, so these are things you should be thinking about. There's all these moments in the platform. And as you said, Doc, like if you're thinking about it from what benefits the platform as well as what benefits you, you can start using these in a much more intelligent way to for it to be a win for both, for it to be a win for YouTube as well as for a win
Well,
for you.
and there's a hierarchy, Katie. It's what's best for the user first, what's best for the platform second, what's best for you last.
Exactly.
Most people invert that.
Yeah.
Most people don't even think about the platform, which is crazy because they're letting you host this stuff for free.
Yeah.
Okay, like if I had to pay for all the content that I put on YouTube right now, I would be broke.
Over.
I would
We'd
be
bankrupt,
flat dead broke, right? I'm like, anybody got a sandwich, right? So for real, you should. And one thing that I also mentioned, so you're brand new, you don't really have a lot of content to send them to. Send them to another channel. So Luis has just made this incredible thing called City Ska, channels I think you should go and watch. Like I said, make up a name. And by someone watching that video, and then Luis is talking to Katie, and then he's explaining, VHS Club, and whoever's watching that show goes, oh my God, I love old movies. And then they look at the page and they're like, oh my God, I love this movie. So they're going to watch that episode. And from that episode, they're going to see how cool we are. And then they're going to say, oh, I want to watch this episode. So now you took somebody and you left them in the seat on the platform for 3 hours. You are the procuring cost though. So therefore, YouTube will say, I like this show, City's Golf, because whoever watches one of his shows ends up here for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So Luis would be, in that case, being a great citizen of the platform. Mm-hmm. So in your descriptions, in your titles, link to other things that exist on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I no longer send people in my description to Mary Lou's website. I send them to Mary Lou's channel because there's more likely that they'll watch her content on YouTube. And the other thing that a lot of people don't know, because, well, I'm shy and I'm an introvert. If you're not commenting and interacting and being a communal person on the YouTube, they show you are an active member of their community. Yeah. They also not going to reward you because you're a taker.
Yeah. Yep.
The internet does not reward takers, homie. It just doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I don't know. We have to go fast maybe through this one. Go ahead, Luis.
All right.
I was just going to add to that same thing that Doc was saying, that, it's Gary V's motion, or his saying of jab, jab, right? It's basically you're
jab,
always
jab, right,
going and giving, and then just having that one ask. And it's just like somebody else said, you can't go to a bank and just ask to extract money. You need to deposit first before you can make any transactions, right? So everything works in that same method.
So true.
We had a plan for the Amesbury Bank in October, Luis. Don't tell everybody. Damn it.
Why'd you even mention it, bro?
So the best thing on the workflow list, Katie, is that start with live video, man. Like, whether you want to do it or not, like, live video is a thing. And Katie said ABR last year, and I think it's the most clever thing we'll always be recording, because you just never know. This came up for me on Sunday. I got a message from Stephanie, and Stephanie's like, oh, I'm trying to make this video, and the Shure microphone isn't doing this, and this. And I was like, it's going to take me a second to type out. Well, okay, you know me. I lied. It's going to take me 20 minutes to type out the answer.
I'm going to do a video.
So I just made a video. And then I'm like, Stephanie's not the only person with this question, so I'm going to make it a reel. And then so I made the reel. It literally took all of how long is the reel? Let's say a minute. It took a minute, and then I posted it, and I copied the link, and I sent it back to her. So in a 2-minute transaction, not only did I give her her answer, but I also made sure that anybody else that has that question that might come across that video might see it as well. And so, a couple hundred people have watched it later, and that would have been just a text message between me and Stephanie, and it wouldn't have helped anyone. So learn to answer questions with quick reels or quick shorts or quick video, even if necessary.
And I'll say, so I took this exact structure, this workflow, back when we initially wrote it, which obviously has some updates and changes now, but I applied that to the VHS Club podcast, my personal for fun podcast. And again, no budget, I am doing this entirely for fun, just being silly and being completely organic in everything. And the numbers on YouTube have been just going up and up and up and up and up. Whereas the numbers on all of the like my Spotify analytics that I can log into. They're growing, but way slower than YouTube. So I will say, like, if you are new to this space and you're brand new to podcasting in general, it is way faster and easier to grow an audience organically with very minimal to no budget on a platform like YouTube, simultaneously also still going out through the podcast platforms. But being able to do it, YouTube will grow faster. I think the connections that you'll make there will be stronger, and you just have way more opportunity to be able to, you know, get your word out in front of everyone. So it's, we're not saying this only because we work for Ecamm and Ecamm helps you to live stream. I'm saying this because the engagement that comes out of a live recording process and being vulnerable in that process helps you become a better creator, a better podcaster, helps create a community way faster and more organically, and I think just works across the process a lot better. And you can decide whether or not you want to edit that video later. You can decide like what you want to do with it later or down the road or however that looks in the rest of your workflow. But I still stand by the fact that it's the quote unquote, if you're listening, the hardest part of this process is the recording process, and the hardest part is capturing video and audio. So that's the biggest, hardest thing. So if you start with that and you do it in a way that forces you to check all those other boxes, everything else in this workflow is easier. It's just faster and easier. And these days, so much faster and easier because, again, we're living in a time of AI, and almost every single tool out there that are coming out right now and that are growing really fast right now are on the other side of Ecamm, right? It's all the post-production stuff. It's there to make editing easier. It's there to make repurposing content easier. It's there to trim up video clips. It's there to amplify your social messages. So like it once you've done the recording process, once you've spent the time recording or live stream or whatever, all the other stuff is easy. It's like literally being done for you in whatever way works best for you. But that is
one of the coolest things to watch to me, Katie, is on the VHS Club now. Every week, there's like, hey guys, I'm new. What is this? Like, there's always new people showing up. And so that's because you guys have put in the groundwork first. Like, we have all walked past a store being built, and if they don't tape or mud the windows so you can see inside, you kind of see inside and go, that's cool. I'm going to check this out when it gets more flushed. Yeah. And then next time you go by, you see like there's a couple people in there, like hanging up the last stuff or putting stuff on the racks or whatever. And then you see the grand opening, you see a couple people outside, and you'll drive past like maybe 10, 15 more times. But eventually you're just like, all right, let me go see what this store is. Because I watched it from its inception, and I watched people, working on it. And now there's folks in there. Now I'm curious. We do this on a daily basis with our own selves, right? So this is exactly how it works nowadays. And I mentioned this in my presentation, it takes about 15 touch points nowadays, 11 to 15 touch points to get people to actually make a move decision. And you have to keep putting those touch points out there. People are putting out 3 to 4 and then going, oh, no one's coming, so I guess I quit. What? You didn't yell long enough.
Exactly. No, you didn't exactly.
It's like in the movie, the guy's coming to rescue the person and they're right there. But for whatever reason, the person can't scream because the person's holding their mouth or whatever. And they're literally like within feet of each other. And they didn't dig deeper, and that person didn't scream louder or whatever. And then they miss each other. Now the person's still hostage until the next scene. Yeah. It's just like that.
So
sorry, I went to VH Club for a minute.
No, you're good. I'm actually gonna let's keep this on the screen, Luis, but I'm just gonna disregard what's here and talk through what our current, as of today, process is. So we're here July 2024. Here is our current workflow. There's some things that have changed and some things that you'll notice have been the same all the way through. So the same all the way through. We absolutely start with live video. We record this podcast live on Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube. We do it in front of a live studio audience who we call the Flow Riders. They're here hanging out with us if you're listening later. And that is a great way for us to capture all of the input and questions and things that help kind of fuel the topics and the content of this show. We have a producer backstage, which we added, not right at the beginning, right? There's Luis, not at the very beginning, but a little bit into the show. And we've done a lot of episodes talking about like the production and how Luis approaches things and the editing and all of that. So once this is done, we're going to upload all of our individual isolated recorded files into Box, which we then will share with Luis. And Luis also has a bunch of files because he's running Ecamm. So we have a lot of content to pull from. And Luis goes through the process of editing all of that and working on it. It takes him about a week. So we record live on Tuesdays and then we drop the final episode that's edited and produced the following Tuesday. So we had last week's episode drop today. This episode will drop next week. And that goes to YouTube, to our YouTube podcast playlist. And it also goes out through Captivate to all of the various podcast platforms. Doc does some audio cleanup. I do some transcript work and work using AI tools, including Descript. We use Scenery. We use Opus Clip. We use Capsho now, is new to us. And we're using all of those tools to get the best pieces of content out of our recorded episode. And that includes newsletter, description, title, chapters, captions, clips, social posts. That's, all of that. We're using a combination of all of those tools to get all that stuff out. You can do that in any way that you want, but that's the combination of tools that we're using, as well as obviously, as I just said, Doc's using Auphonic to be able to clean up some of the audio itself, which Luis has already done a great job of a lot of it, but that's just an extra step that we believe in to make sure the audio sounds.
It's mostly nowadays putting on the artwork and adding the metadata to the file. That's primarily what I'm using Auphonic for.
Oh, great. That's good to know.
And Auphonic also automatically uploads it to Captivate for me.
Perfect.
So it kind of acts as a last minute, right before you leave the hotel, you look under the bed, check all the drawers again real quick, make sure you didn't forget anything. And yeah, it's sort of like that.
The last
super cool
step.
tool.
So it's funny because we used to, so I'm looking at this process here, right? We used to really strongly do almost everything in Descript, and we still use Descript for a lot of things, but now there are so many other tools as well that you could stay completely in Descript. We have lots of people who do that and do a lot of work there. You could use just a tool like Scenery, which is a video editing tool. Like all of these tools are changing and getting better and adding different features, and there is some overlap. So what I would say to you is try them. But really the goal of any of these tools in the post-production world is to make editing faster and easier, grab those little content pieces that you're going to be sharing and leveraging for promotion across all different places, email and social and communities and all these different places. And ideally helping make your content better and more discoverable. So find the tools that work best for you, and we'll update this to work for that. But I see here we don't do audiograms anymore. And for the video clips that we're using, I used to spend a lot of time in Descript trying to find the exact clips that we wanted. AI has made that way faster, both in Descript, and now we also use Opus Clip to just automatically generate that. It's not perfect. None of this is perfect. It still requires some level of either you're okay for it not to be perfect, or you need to spend more time to actually get it to exactly the way that you want. But it's getting a lot better over the years, for sure. Swing over to page 2.
Listen, Opus is so good now and has gotten so much better. It's kind of phenomenal what it's able to do. Even, the way that it can automatically line up, the people in the show that's configured like how we are now. It's so good. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, the tools have gotten so much better.
Yep.
And I say this every week. It's starting to sound like a broken record, but I'm cool with it. There is no better time than right now to be a creator. I've been waiting to do this podcast because stop waiting. There is no better time than right now. The best time to start a new podcast was yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed yesterday? Cool. Start today. That's the corniest thing, but it's so good. And it's getting better. Oh my God.
There's also still
phenomenal.
So much space. So I'm coming to you as a person that does a movie review podcast. Do you know how many movie podcasts there are out there? A bajillion. Literally a bajillion of them. And yet I still have an audience and my podcast is still growing and people are finding it and I'm building this thing, and it blows my mind sometimes because again, there's a ton of content out there, but but you will find your people, you'll find your audience, and it's a journey, for lack of a better word. Same with this podcast. This is a podcast about podcasting. You know how many are out there? Again, a bajillion. Captivate has a fantastic one. Colin Gray, who was on the show last week with me, has a fantastic podcast about podcasting. There are a ton of them out there, but you will find this show because something about either Doc or myself or Ecamm or the content we're sharing resonates with you. And maybe you listen to all of them. Maybe you only listen to ours. Maybe you only listen to ours part-time and you pop in and out. Fine. But because we have this structure and this workflow that allows us to replicate and keep going, we are here. We've almost 2 years now, right? We've stayed the test of time. We're well past pod fade and any kind of issues with it because the workflow is easy, because we've leveraged these tools and processes and people to make it work for us. And for us, we're able to turn this show around in about a week. Sometimes we're a little bit faster. Sometimes we're right up to the wire, but we're able to turn it around in about a week and produce a show that matters to us and helps our viewers. And here on this sheet, it says, the audiences we reach with this are beyond podcast listeners, right? We're reaching live viewers, we're reaching replay viewers, we're reaching those listeners, we're reaching social media followers and people who don't even listen to podcasts are getting our content through video clips and through text quotes and things that we're sharing that way. And then blog readers and eventually course people who are coming in and may not be podcast listeners themselves, but can consume all this content in the form of a course. So all that's possible. All of it.
That's the part that's so good, and I think, again, I just wanted to say something because Paul mentioned it in the chat, and I think Paul said something very, very valuable. A lot of times during this last year, like these new tools will come out, and we've often done master classes or check things out, and people's like, okay, that's pretty cool. It's not quite what I need or whatever, or that's completely out of my wheelhouse. It's not something I'm going to use. It is very, very important as a student of the game to go back and check where these things are, especially the AI tools. The AI tools will look very different every 2 to 3 months. Mm-hmm. So there's people who, back when we started talking about ChatGPT, says, I don't like ChatGPT, I'm going to ignore it. Well, in the last 6-8 months since you looked at it, it's a whole different beast right now. Claude is a whole different beast right now. Opus Clips, whole different beast. Descript, even whole different beast.
Yeah, huge.
So it's very worth going in and checking what some of these butterflies look like after the chrysalis. So go in and investigate again, and don't just stay stuck on these feelings and thoughts that you had that are completely invalid at this point. And again, the best time to be a creator, and these tools are only going to get better. We are just at the surface, and there's so much room for you. Nothing's ever saturated. Phones were saturated until 2007. Some dude named Steve said, hey, I got an idea.
Yep.
And half of y'all are holding one in your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope that this episode makes you all realize that this process is an evolving process. So we created checked these documents back 2 years ago when we first launched this podcast, and we've made updates here and there to them as we go along, and we're going to continue making updates to them as we go forward. And so it's really good to take stock of where you're at, do like a little mini audit, figure out what's working, what's not working, whether that's a tool, a system, a process, a person, like figure out what's working and not working, double down on the things that are working, get more efficient, get more, pull as much of that out as you can, and get rid of anything that's in your way. It's not worth it these days. That there's so many ways to do this and so many ways to do it easily and effectively and efficiently that don't, like, if you are struggling with a particular thing that's in your podcast process or it's stopping you from creating, push it out of the way. Push it out of your way. Like it.
My newest thing is unsubscribe from these words that don't do anything for you.
Exactly.
Because people keep telling you that these words are real and you subscribe to them, but they're not helping you. So you can just ignore them. People say, I'm not going to do so-and-so today because I'm just quit. Like I am done today.
Yeah.
Right. So you just decided at that moment in time that even things that normally make noise and bother you, you're going to choose to ignore them that particular day.
Yep.
Right? Because something's coming up. That's birthdays, that's vacation, or that's my Game of Thrones night or whatever. So I know for a fact you know how to ignore things that otherwise get under your skin.
Exactly.
Right? We've all done it before. We've all had to just ignore that come boca person that's around.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. Unsubscribe. Unsubscribe to it.
Only Anna and Luis caught that come boca line. Anyway, so yes, it was cool. This was cool. I like the fact that we revisited it because it shows how much has changed. And so if you want to stay up to date and know what's always moving in this, because, hey, it's like a river. It's always flowing. So it's always changing, okay? So make sure you go to flow.ecamm.com and stay up to date with the latest and check us out on YouTube, of course, and all the other places where your podcast getting is got. This and every show is sponsored by Captivate, our favorite hosting tool. We love everybody at Captivate. We think they love us. No, I know they do. And Captivate is dope. Check out Captivate FM. It is growth-minded. So if you're definitely trying to get your podcast out there, they will help you. They will give you the thoughts, the ideas, the tools, and some really amazing features that will help you grow your podcast. So check them out at captivate.com and .fm and tell them that the flow sent you. There you go.
And we should say, actually, just so that like we're real clear, Captivate does not pay us. We when we say sponsored, we love them so much. We have added for free ad reads into our podcast so that you can all hear more about them. I always want to put that out there because I think like sometimes it's like, oh, well, okay, Katie and Doc, like, you know, they're giving you a lot of money to do this or you're doing this as a corporate podcast. They're not. We literally just love the tool that much. And we do change it up and try to feature different tools that we think really make sense. So hopefully hopefully it helps you and hopefully
And that's a brilliant thing to do. I mentioned this in my talk at Podcast Summit. It's a brilliant thing to do for a podcast that isn't quite yet sponsored for the simple reason that you are letting people who do want to buy a spot from you eventually know that that's available. Yeah. There are legit people come to these things and complain that they haven't got any sponsors yet. I go, do you have an ad read in your show? And they're like, no. Well, how do I even know that you're A, capable of doing an ad read, B, want to put ads in your show, or C, even have the space for an ad read? You never shown anything that you're capable. So there's that.
Yeah, absolutely. We did it. Well, we can, you should do your flow riders out before we do questions.
All right.
I've been missing it. I'm not as good at doing it as you are.
That's what we do at the live taping right here. And then we're going to wake up Aiden real quick. But hey, we just wrapped up another one. So once again, Flow Riders out.